You listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey!
Elimination Chamber coming up this weekend in Perth. As of time of recording, Grady hops on his flight in about 24 hours from now to head over and to watch the show. And let's sit down and talk about the four matches in one segment that we've got announced for it. Where do you want to start on the card? You got two chamber matches, tag team title match, and a women's title match. Or the Grayson Waller effect.
I think we'll go with the women's title match because I think it's the least important.
I don't know. You're talking about Rhea Ripley in Australia, but in terms of predictability, yeah. Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship against Nia Jax. What percentage chance are we giving Nia here?
Not even a Dolph Ziggler's chance. Which I guess we'd have to rename to Nick Nelmith.
Yeah, I think there is very little chance that Nia Jax walks away unless something goes horrendously wrong. So I guess Nia won't win if everything goes to plan, is the way to say it. If some sort of horrendous injury happens, a ref botches a count, that's probably more likely than Nia Jax being booked to win this match.
Yeah.
I think Rhea Ripley both gets the home crowd advantage, gets a bit of pop, Judgment Day, still rolling along in their storyline, and the winner of the Women's Elimination Chamber match, which we'll talk about in a bit, all of the competitors make way more sense as Rhea Ripley opponents than Nia Jax opponents, really.
Yeah.
It's just what's in the stars.
One thing, though, we do have to acknowledge the fact that it's not one Australian in the match. It's two.
Yeah. I think the crowd still has their favorite.
Yeah. Obviously, but still, it's it's like one of the easiest slam dunks of the year. It's like, we know Rhea Ripley, WrestleMania. Who she faces, we don't know for sure. We think we know, but we don't know. But we know it'll be at least one half of that equation will be Rhea Ripley. So unfortunately, Nia Jax gets taken down in her homeland to her homelander.
And let's talk about that other half of the equation, because we do have an Elimination Chamber match to determine who will be facing. I'm going to say the Women's World Champion. I won't say Rhea Ripley. There's a little bit there, but to face the champion at WrestleMania, it's going to be Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus our last chance competitor, Raquel Rodriguez.
My pick, Liv Morgan.
Yeah?
I'm going for the long-term booking.
Yeah, I think there's so many good options in here. Other than... And it's nothing against Tiffany, but I feel like she's probably sixth on my list in this match. In terms of, getting that WrestleMania spotlight, getting the Rhea Ripley match. Ripley-Becky makes sense. They pushed it at the press conference quite heavily. Got history there. Ripley-Belair, we've seen a bunch of times. Ripley-Morgan, as you say, also has history going back to Morgan getting injured. Quite a bit of a storyline that you can pull there.
Actually, going back to last year's Royal Rumble match when they went the distance and Liv got eliminated last by Rhea. That started Rhea's role as this championship reign.
Even more history. Ripley Rodriguez as well, obviously quite a big friend of Liv Morgan. And then the returning Naomi could also just be, shooting up the card and making a star out of herself as well.
Yeah. I think Naomi is here to be the spot person, to do the crazy thing in this match. Raquel's there to be the strong person, to do something really strong in the match. Tiffany Stratton is a newbie they want to try to get over, but it doesn't have a chance to win. She might get an elimination. but she won't get in anywhere near the final two. I think the final two will be Becky and Liv.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did heavily want to do Becky, but I think there's so much with that story with Liv that I want to see that more than Becky versus Rhea.
Yeah, I think they are the two top shots. I think we both agree Tiffany's got no shot. Naomi would just feel a little weird after her return. Doesn't have a massive history with Ripley. I don't really know what her role is going to be at WrestleMania. We'll have to see, and I think same with Raquel a little bit. Don't really know what her role will be. Bianca, I'm going to count out just purely because we're pretty sure about that Bianca Jade match, which may get built out of this. We'll have to see if Jade shows up in Perth or not, or has any sort of bearing on this match. And that really does just leave Lynch and Morgan, both of which have history, both of which have story, and both of which can put on a good match with Rhea, and I would be happy with either of them winning. I think Becky comes across, I guess, more of sort of the cocky face, and would go up against Rhea. It is what they were building at the presser. It's the obvious outcome. Liv Morgan a bit more underdog. If she went up against Rhea, it would make sense for either of them to take the title. Rhea Ripley's reign has run for quite a while, maybe coming to an end. We may be at the end of the road soon. Yeah. Really, do you think you're picking who the next Women's World Champion is going to be, or do you think that Rhea will defeat her challenger?
Honestly, I don't know. That's something I need to see, like, the build-up to.
Yeah.
Prior to it. Because Rhea is such a strong champion that it's basically the same situation we were in last year with Bianca Belair leading into WrestleMania. And she won that match, by the way.
Yeah, it seems with...
Before dropping it in the next pay-per-view, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you look at Reigns, you look at Ripley, you look at Gunther. We got quite a few dominant champions right now that are waiting for people that can, take the strap off of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I would say I would probably give Lynch more of a chance than Morgan to take the title off of Rhea. But it's just something about the story with Liv that I just really want to see.
Well, after next weekend, we will know who is going to face the Women's World Champion, probably Ripley, at WrestleMania. But talking about her Judgment Day stablemates, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, they have their own hurdles before WrestleMania. At Elimination Chamber, they'll be going up against Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, defending their WWE Tag Team Championships.
What is up with this new tag team name of Dunne and Bates, by the way?
No idea. I skipped over it because I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Wasn't like their old nickname like Mustache Mountain or something? Or am I thinking of a different UK tag team?
Had Trent Seven in it as well. They were British Strong Style, I think, with the three of them.
Yeah. But yeah, I really would like to see Dunne and Bate win this, but I just think the whole build-up for this title has to do with Miz and R-Truth. I think this is a night one WrestleMania match for these titles. I think Finn and Damian lose it to whoever they face it to in there. So as much as I would like to see the two UK guys take these titles from them, I just don't see it happening. So I think the Judgment Day retains.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one for me as well. If I was putting money on it, I think Judgment Day is the safe bet to walk away with them. Damian Priest still has the briefcase. The Judgment Day storyline is still building. This is not the finale to it. Elimination Chamber isn't going to be the end of the Judgment Day. I'll echo our sentiments for the 100th time. We had 8 tag teams involved in the number one contendership to get here. 8 great tag teams that could be fighting for 2 separate belts. And that doesn't include Awesome Truth, to bring in a 9th, and then Judgment Day the Champs to bring in a 10th. Lot of tag teams, a lot of talent floating around. And I would love for these belts either to split into 2 or at least to split away from the Judgment Day storyline, so we can get something rolling with these other tag teams and stop floundering them a little bit in the middle. I think it's got to be Balor and Priest retaining here. I don't know what our future holds for Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. I think they will just fall back into that tag team division without necessarily a goal. Pete Dunne did get the reintroduction, has built him a little bit of momentum. It's just probably not enough momentum. Could I see them picking up the titles if they were separate? Yeah, 100%. I could see them picking up a SmackDown Tag Team Championship for sure, but just not while they're attached to the Judgment Day. I think it's the same sort of thing when we were talking about the Bloodline a year or 2 years ago. The titles are still important to the storyline. They're important to the stable, and now's not the time to rip them off that just yet. Give it a couple months. Let's front load the show. Why not? We'll go into our entrance theme later. Let's just talk about our last match on the card. It is the Elimination Chamber match to see who will face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Our 6 competitors are Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul.
It should be a great match, but it's an outcome that's as obvious as our Rhea Ripley Nia Jax outcome is. Unlike the other one, there's no other option. It is going to be Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one, right? Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, LA Knight, they've kind of been in that mid-card, upper mid-card. Something's going to happen there at WrestleMania, whether it's Knight, Paul, whether Owens gets another shot. It feels like that storyline has just been placed inside the chamber. Bobby Lashley has more things to worry about. Again, Karrion Kross might affect this match. He might have something to say about Bobby being in the match. And then that leaves you Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. And Orton set his sights on the bloodline. Alignments don't fully work, but, we've seen weirder. And then you got Drew McIntyre, who's as hot can be, rising up the card, setting up feuds with CM Punk when he returns, setting up feuds with Seth Rollins. This really felt like, after the injuries, our match was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, but we had a pay-per-view left to go, and so we had to put a match on the pay-per-view, and so this is the match we put together.
Yeah, the Elimination Chamber match for the title, since the title can't be defended in it because of injury, makes sense. And all 6 of these could be a world champion. I know that hurts you. We heard that about Logan Paul.
It does. Oh.
But all 6 could be a world champion. It's just there's just no story for an LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. There's no story for a Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. There's no story for a Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins. There is some story to Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins, like 10 some odd years later, at WrestleMania Part 2, but it's all been about Drew. This entire time, the last 6 months has been Drew versus Seth, with Punk interrupting that story until he got hurt. I think WrestleMania will be Drew's moment in front of the crowd. Whether he holds the title after the event is over, we don't know. But he will at least win the title at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it definitely makes the most sense, as you say. It's the only pre-built storyline in here. I was just checking. You said all of these 6 men could be a world champion. I went back and hopefully I checked really fast, but all of them except for Bobby Lashley have tried and failed to defeat Roman Reigns, but they did get, a WWE Championship match. All of them. Bobby previously, but I don't know if in this reign. At least not on the first 2 pages that I scrolled through.
I don't. I think no, because Bobby, when Bobby Lashley was dealing with the WWE Championship, that was when it was with Lesnar, and then Lesnar beat him at the Royal Rumble, or at the Elimination Chamber after the Royal Rumble, after he beat Lesnar, after he beat him, and that set up the unification match. So yeah, Lashley's the only one that's not dealt with the bloodline directly. But yeah, it's what it is. But he's too busy with the Final Testament to matter for the world title.
And do you think the Final Testament is gonna, play into this match we saw? I think it was last week on SmackDown. Them actually coming out on top, heading into the show. But we do still have this week's SmackDown, which we can't see before discussing the pay-per-view. Some stuff could change, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. I do think that there'll be at some point, maybe Bobby Lashley will hit a spear or something on somebody in the match, and the lights will go out, and out will come the Authors of Pain, and they'll level him, and he'll get pinned and be eliminated, and then it'll be the same scene at the Royal Rumble where then the Street Profits will come out, that 6 of them will just brawl off screen.
Yeah. Gotta love running it back. Alrighty then. Well, it is time to go into our entrance theme this week. Or it's less an entrance theme, it is just the theme for Elimination Chamber. Quite late in the show. But when we get back, obviously there is stuff that happened on Raw and SmackDown this week that didn't play into Elimination Chamber and is building towards WrestleMania, which we will get into when we get back from this song. Enjoy listening up on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. One of the things I did want to talk about, first match on Raw this week, it was Drew McIntyre, it was Cody Rhodes. I think it feeds into what we were saying with, Drew McIntyre being the obvious choice. But thanks to the bloodline, is that Cody Rhodes' second singles loss since returning?
Roughly. I'm not sure if he's had a singles loss other than to Roman last year.
I think that's it, as far as I'm aware. He's a couple tags here and there, but Night of Champions 2023. Okay, well, he's had, you can count the amount of losses he's had on one hand. And Drew McIntyre gets to join that exclusive club. And I don't know, you look at the reflections here, it was Cody Drew at the start of the show. That through-line storyline, right? Bloodline come out, they screw over Cody, Drew McIntyre takes advantage, gets the win, happy about it. You look later in the show, it's Jey Uso versus Gunther. Jey Uso within a hair's breadth of capturing the Intercontinental Championship. Bloodline interfere. Gunther ends up picking up the win, but he ain't happy about it. And sort of rolls out of the ring, being a little bit different style of a heel to Drew McIntyre, but setting up so many different bits and bobs. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso still going at it. Gunther almost losing his title that he's held on to for a record number of days. So many bits and bobs that, just need that final peg connected heading into the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's this match with the Usos. We've been figuring on for a while to happen at WrestleMania. We had to have a point for the jumping off point to make sense. Having them interfere in the middle of Jay trying to capture his first singles title and almost doing it makes sense. I still think Jay eventually takes Gunther down. It just may not be until after WrestleMania. It does definitely seem to be a shame that Gunther can't go to Australia. Because I think this match would have happened there with the same outcome.
100%.
But this is, I think Jay versus Jimmy is a money match. It could have easily have been a WrestleMania Night 1 main event.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Night 1's main event will be probably Bayley versus Io, to be honest. But yeah, it's telling a story, which is what we always want. We want them to tell us a damn story. And they're telling us a story.
Yeah, I think you're right. Australia, unfortunately, and the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view missed out on a few things. Obviously, CM Punk was announced, got himself injured. There was meant to be a match with Dominic Mysterio taking on Brock. That's not happening now as well. Gunther Jey Uso, if Gunther didn't have his visa issues. I'm not going to call it a cursed pay-per-view, but it's definitely lost a few of the matches and a bit of the star power that it was going to have. But, that does just let us have some amazing Raw main events, like Jay and Gunther there. And as we continue to tell that story, moving through to Philly. One thing I did skip over with Elimination Chamber, I guess we can mention it. I don't really want to. I'm going to have to sit through a Grayson Waller effect segment with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes.
That should be hilarious.
I might need to put earplugs in.
I'm looking forward to it.
There's going to be so much booing.
Oh, it should be fun. It should be absolutely phenomenally fun. I can't wait to hear what Cody Rhodes wants to talk to about next. And I still, I really don't like that catchphrase. Because it's so stupid. But hey, it's a catchphrase and it seems to be working. And I love Grayson Waller. I absolutely love him. I really hope that in a couple of years that he's at the top of the card as a world champion, because I think he's phenomenal, a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, it seems as though it's really easy to point out Miz comparisons to a few guys. I feel like we were pointing out Miz comparisons to Austin a lot. But with Grayson Waller here, I can definitely see him in a few years being that upper mid-card barrier kind of guy who gets a world championship run here and there for a little bit. It's quite hard to do those at the moment with Roman sitting at the top of the card. But that tower will come crumbling down eventually and open up a couple different avenues for guys to get maybe some shorter runs with the belts, reward a couple people, and there's no reason why, as you say, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, that isn't Grayson Waller up there getting his flowers. You also mentioned what you think the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania is going to be with Bayley versus Sky. We've also got, I guess, a match spot left on Elimination Chamber if we are going to get a fifth match on that card with SmackDown this week. They both, Kai and Bayley, have been threatened now by, who is Damage Control at this point? By Asuka, Sane, and Sky. That storyline also heating up.
They've been threatened by the Asian wing of Damage Control. I still don't trust Dakota in this storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see it. I could definitely see them throwing on SmackDown, announcing Bayley and Dakota versus the Kabuki Warriors for the titles or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the match. It looks like Dakota and Bayley are going to win, only for Dakota to turn on Bayley. And then you have a 6-week, 4 to 6 week build up of Bayley single-handedly taking out each member to get to the point where it will just be Bayley versus Io at WrestleMania.
Yeah. obviously they'll fly people out that are not needed for it or to do press, and you can't read too much into it, but the 3 meet and greets that they have announced for Perth are Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate on the Friday, Kabuki Warriors on the Thursday, and Dakota Kai on the Saturday. So 3 of them will at least be in Perth if they are going to try and put something together, be it a segment, be it any sort of reference to that feud. We'll have to wait and see how that all goes. But that is all we have time for this week. Grady's got to go pack. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRND up, or our YouTube, our Facebook page first at facebook.com/WrestlingRND up. I've butchered the outro. Our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRND up. And we'll see you next week.